family tried to carry on, but a bomb attack 2 years later drove the last Protestant business out of the village. Whatever the strategy behind this murder campaign, it's clear the IRA are able to select and pick off their victims more or less as and when they wish. No security precautions can be 100% effective all the time. This has left border communities feeling vulnerable and isolated. They say the areas closest to the border have simply been handed over to the terrorists.
The border is shrinking. The border now is really up to scheme. Push-wash. That's where the border is. That's maybe as far as the patrol police patrol.
Claims like these are backed up by the experiences of many border farmers.
We had a particular incident on the farm here in Shelves, and we had a device left on the laneway with notice for to leave the farm, leave the property. I contacted the police at I think about 11:30 at night, and eventually a constable and an inspector came to the farm. They threw stones at the device from behind it, from the shelter of a tree. Shouldn't seem to be the way to deal with a situation of the kind. 15 days later the device was removed from the farm then, and our experience was that we got no backup from the police. We were told by members of the force at that time that during the hour in the darkness we wouldn't get any help from them.
But the police insist they do all they can to protect the border communities.
Night and day, they are constantly in the thoughts of the security forces. Many of the murders have been committed in isolated areas. Access to the Republic is available through fields, across rivers and through hedgerows. Clearly we do not have the resources to be lying in every field or be in every hedgerow.
Protestants are also angry that the police have caught so few of the people responsible for the murders. In Fermanagh and South Tyrone, it's claimed 170 out of 198 murders remain unsolved.
Well, I certainly would accept that the detection rate is not satisfactory. It certainly is not good enough, and it needs to be improved. But very often there are no witnesses. On those rare occasions where there are witnesses, they are very often intimidated. We rely on intelligence, we rely on information, and the community at large has a part to play in this. If we receive the support from the community and the cooperation that we so badly need, then perhaps we will be much more successful in bringing these terrorists to justice.
That appeal is clearly directed at Fermanagh's nationalist majority. The Church and the SDLP consistently condemn violence, but Protestants say the IRA wouldn't be able to operate as it does in Fermanagh if that lead was followed by the Catholic community at large. It's widely believed by Protestants that Catholics not only won't cooperate with the police, but have been actively involved in setting them up for attack.
Field drills that he was set up, but some local from not far away had to go up. There was rangers killed them, but the local person watched his movement, knew the time he went to Peter's Chapel in the morning, 10 minutes to 8 in the morning, they shot him. They'd been there from the early hours of the morning because the police, passionate hours, could chase whether they walked about. It was only the one place they could cross the river and they knew where to go.
No matter who has been murdered in this county, somebody local has been involved, whether in the action of murder or in fact pinpointing or fingering those who have been murdered. You just don't move into an area without local knowledge, and therefore local people must be involved.
In nationalist terms, Fermanagh is firmly Sinn Féin territory. There's bitter antagonism towards the security forces, who are accused of the constant harassment of nationalists, not just political activists, at border checkpoints and in routine security operations. In this atmosphere, it's unlikely the police will ever receive the cooperation they say they need. Certainly Sinn Féin leaders are confident the community supports their policy towards the murder campaign.
The great majority of nationalists in this immediate area vote for Sinn Féin. And whether or not that means they're voting for the IRA is their own interpretation.
What do you think?
The vast majority of them are, yeah. They're not particularly interested in political ethos of Sinn Féin or anybody else. They're voting for removal of British presence by whatever means necessary. necessary or available.
And do you think they realise the full implications of that in terms of the possible fate of their neighbours and friends?
Oh, they certainly do.
Moderate nationalists are appalled by Sinn Féin's uncompromising support for violence, but the SDLP admit they're powerless to counter it.
It's most uncomfortable when any atrocity occurs. People are genuinely contrite about it and feel, well, what could I have done? But then what can they do? And I have no real advice to offer them.
Despite the deeply rooted mutual distrust, Protestants and Catholics set aside their hostility when it comes to the business of farming. In the frenetic activity of a cattle auction, political differences can be forgotten, if only briefly. Here, as in farming communities everywhere, neighbours depend on each other for help at busy or difficult times. In Fermanagh, such help is exchanged freely, but not without reservation.
You have to live with them and farm side, and they will do anything for you, and to help you in any way if you go to them. They'll come to you if you don't want them to help you. Would you up at the bed at night to come and help you? Then they could be telling them, they could be setting you up at the same time, so you don't know that. You can't depend.
To outsiders, this contradiction might seem bizarre. For the farmers of Fermanagh, it's become a way of life.
Somebody's cutting their silage or whatever. There's a very natural thing among farmers as among anybody else to help each other out. But then again, when he's not cutting the silage, he's an armed member of the British Army. And he most certainly won't be getting any support from his Celtic neighbours, or very few of them. And if a Protestant farmer or any other Protestant in any other job wishes to be a member of the British Army, then he knows fine well that there's a chance that he'll be attacked.
I've learned from experience to my own relations, you see. Their nearest neighbour was the one that was setting them up. Doing that, and there was no person in there visited them as often, just the person who was doing it. No person is friendly to them. The person who was saying to do it.
I know perfectly well that I am well known. I have a jolly good idea who keeps an eye on who's about the house or what movements are. And you just live with it.
Feeling abandoned by their political leaders, but with their sense of identity intact, border Protestants have developed a keen instinct for survival.
You can't go where you like. You have to be careful where you go. And you can't tell anybody where you're going. If I go to visit friends or anything like that there, I can't tell anybody I'm going. I have to go just. And come back again. And, even my own friends, they can't come here and stuff. But I have to be very careful.
From start to finish, we've never had an ordinary family life. There's always been restrictions. You can't just go out where you like, when you like, and just freedom like any other folks would do with their family. They can't come back and can't stay as just ordinary folks again. They can come back, but you never get much warning, nor they can't stay for any length of time.
Carry's going with me at all times. Never over that. Bring it to bed, bring it up to bed, bring it to the bathroom, bring it to the greenhouse, bring it to the shop, bring it to church. Never over that.
Do you think that is a real protection?
Well, it's not maybe a real protection, but it might give me a chance.
William Burley, the last UDR man killed in Fermanagh, had no chance when the IRA planted a bomb under his car at a farm auction last April. Yet he was one of the most security-conscious farmers. He believed his thorough precautions had saved him on other occasions.
He was quite aware of that he left Dublin, but he wasn't one to be scared away. He would be prepared to live with that. He was that sort of guy. He wouldn't have been intimidated. You know, he was quite security conscious, and he wouldn't have been somebody that would have been very careless here. You know, he was cool, and I would have thought he would have took certain amount of precautions. I'm surprised how he got caught so handy at the end, really. There you are.
Derek Douglas served with William Burley in the UDR from the beginning. They became good friends. But 2 years ago, Derek sold his farm and moved to Scotland. It was a business move, not an escape, but he's relieved to have left behind the strain of the double life he led in Fermanagh.
I'm a full-time farmer now in Ireland, and when I lived in Northern Ireland, I was my farming 9 to 5 sort of thing, and was a soldier for the rest of the evening. 4 or 5 nights a week I worked at home from say 7 o'clock. The life here is a lot more relaxed. You don't have to observe all the security things that we did when we lived in Northern Ireland. You get away from it, and when you go back, you notice the member security force is still doing this. It's more noticeable when you've been away from it for a while than when we're actually there, because we've done it and it built up over the years. You didn't notice it happening, but it was building up and building up.
Derek Douglas didn't farm in a high-risk border area, but he too lived with the knowledge that he could be the IRA's next victim. And, like other Protestants, he accepted the restrictions that knowledge imposed.
Sometimes you come home late at night, you sort of expected probably somebody to attack you or something, but that was my moment where you went out about your daily business and you didn't let it worry. If you took it that seriously, you wouldn't be on the security forces, or you're being there for fraction one or two. Because, you pay your money and takes your chance. Some people just want to survive and some not.